summers, hell no. Oh, the worst, but.
Well, Cody, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with us on the show.
Yeah, of course, man, of course.
For doing this. I'm excited about this one because I've only had I think one other apprentice on. And it's something, honestly, I want to start doing. Just want to find the right guy to come on the show and do this. So I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
Yeah, dude, I'm almost honestly really honored. Honestly, I've been listening to you since day one and everything, and you're doing amazing stuff for this trade and doing amazing stuff for people who, just need an outlet to kind of hear other people's stories and everything. And, you're going to do amazing things, and you have been doing amazing things. So it's an honor, man.
Cool, man. Thanks. I appreciate that. So where did you grow up?
So I grew up, I was born in Reno, Nevada, and I moved to a town called, good old Nevada. I moved when I was 5 to Redding, California. So right in Northern California and everything. And
Sasquatch territory. Tell me you have a Sasquatch story. I want to hear one.
I do not. I do not. I got multiple, bear, deer, homeless people. I got all those, cranksters, all that stuff. I got those stories, no Sasquatch stories.
I went camping a couple of weeks ago with some friends, and we get in the truck, and I'm like, okay, this would be cool just to get in the truck with them and we'll drive. We got 4 people and a dog in this Chevy, and they're like, hey guys, we got like 3 hours. You want to listen to some Sasquatch Chronicles? And I'm like, God damn it. There's a podcast for everything now. I'm like, sure, why not? There's like 700 episodes of this freaking Sasquatch Chronicles. This guy just literally listens to people's interactions they've had with Sasquatches, their stories.
I've been looking at a lot of that stuff. It's funny how like the History Channel, like during the day they have like World War II, Vietnam, all this stuff, and then it like hits like a certain point, like 9 p.m. It just goes to like creepy alien UFO files and like all these like Sasquatch things and stuff, and like you listen to like some of those stories and people are like, I seen him. I know where he's at. I just think it's a whole family just like sharing a suit, walking around, just trying to get pictures of themselves or something. All that stuff. So. I don't know. Maybe there's a Sasquatch. Who knows?
Dude, a couple of those stories, to be honest, I don't know, man. Like, I was like, how do you dream this shit up like that? It sounds like a totally regular dude.
Oh yeah.
That just had this encounter, just pulled over on the side of the road to go take a leak or something. And it was like, had a full-on encounter with a Sasquatch. He's like, I have no reason to make this up. Like,
well, see, the thing is like the pictures that they take, they're so fuzzy, you can't really like make out what it is. But like, I saw a figure, walking by and all that stuff. And the best is like the sound that they make to like, try and call them out. It's like you listen to it. What the hell?
You're not calling a horse, bud. Come on.
Exactly. You do better if you call him Seabiscuit, but.
So what do your parents do for a living?
So let's see. So my mom was a dental hygienist for 23 years, and she was doing that. That was her passion forever. And she ended up having to get neck surgery on like C3 to 5 or something like that, and they fused that whole section.
Damn.
Just because your head's down, the whole time.
All from work.
People's teeth. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then she had to get wrist surgery and all that stuff. So she did that for 23 years, and then now she's probably the best gardener this side of the Mississippi. So
jeez, I thought line work was hard on the body.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I was like, dang, like my poor mom, she can't turn her neck and everything, but I mean, she's she did that, busted her butt every single day for as long as I can remember, for 23 years straight, until kind of got the best of her and everything. And then my dad, he kind of a little jack of all trades. He did truck driving for a long time. He worked for a company called GTI, so he drove all around America. I think he went to Canada a couple times and everything, and then he did some HVAC work down in a town called Chico, Northern California. Did that for a couple years, and then he did electrical work with my grandfather for probably 6 years and everything like that. And now he's one of the bigger gun salesmen in Northern California. So he's just
serious.
He's slinging guns and all that.
Good
stuff.
For him.
So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you grew up around weapons and guns. Well, you're American, of course. You grew up around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So here's a funny story. This is how Canadian I am for everyone listening. I'm in Texas, and it was Easter, and a bunch of the Americans that I was working with, a bunch of the line hands are like, hey, let's go shoot some guns for Easter. After work, we'll head to the range. We're basically shooting at Mexico. It was that close. And pull up to the range, and there's legit, this is nothing or out of the ordinary for you guys, but like, this is how Canadian I am. There's legit like a pickup truck. The whole back is full of guns and ammos. Guns and ammo. And I'm just like, there's weapons I've never even seen before, like only on video games and the internet. And I'm like, I get to shoot these? I had a blast, man. I had an absolute ball. And then somebody pulls out some tannerite, and they're like pouring it.
That's where the real fun starts.
Yeah. They're pouring it into a bag, like a grocery bag. And then this guy just starts taping it up with his double wide tape. He's taping it, tapes it into this ball. And then everyone's like, shit, well, what are we going to shoot at? We can't just shoot at this, because that'll be boring. But he's like, how about my dry box? so we all jump in the back of his truck, unpack his dry box, pack it out to the middle of the range, put the tannerite in there. And we had 3 guys shooting at this thing, and you just hear this ting, 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 ting. Nobody was getting it for probably about 10 shots. And then all of a sudden, fucking boom. The only thing we could really find was the lid. It blew the lid sky high, but it was the only thing we could find. It was bent. It just disintegrated, that thing. Yeah, that's my Canadian American story.
I love it. Yeah, since moving to Texas, I mean, I thought I was a self-proclaimed, redneck, through and through and everything. I'd hunt and fish and shoot guns, all that stuff. And then I got to Texas, and that was an eye opener, man. There's some rednecks out here who I'm like, damn, they got 50 cals and mini guns and tanks and all this other stuff, and I'm like, damn, like this is another step, another step.
I got into the truck with one of the old boys the next morning in the yard, and I'm like, yeah, Cookie, had an awesome evening last night. I went shooting guns, and this is what I did. We blew this up, and it was so amazing. And he just like looks at me, he just like tips his sunglasses down. He's like, shit, boy, that's just every other weekend for us. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's the coolest experience of my life.
Yeah, it's like a normal weekend for them. It's like, oh yeah, wait until you go to like Memorial Day or 4th of July. That's when the real fun happens,
I need a special license for a pellet gun here for
gosh. Oh yeah. Once you come to Texas, I mean, it's no holds barred. Whatever you want, bud. They got you. As long as you have the cash, they got you.
So how'd you find the trade? How'd you find line work?
So let's see. I was, working for fire department, Cal Fire in California, and go up and down California chasing fires. That's, the whole state burns every single year. So I guess kind of job security and stuff. And, I was on one of those long ass fires, 40 some odd days straight, 24 on, 24 off, just boom, 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 working. And, it kind of, a little bug kind of got in my head. I'm like, I need to maybe change some stuff up a little bit. This is kind of, I was working seasonal, and I was like, you know what, this really isn't the cup of tea that I was thinking about. When I was getting out of the military, I was thinking, hey, I want to be a fireman. That's all I want to do. I was boom, fireman once I get out. And then it just wasn't really my cup of tea. And then, I was on this fire called, it was the whaleback fire or something. I mean, there's been so many, it's hard to which one, but it was one of those fires where
it's just called the California fire. It's been burning for years.
Pretty much, yeah. California fire 2020, just kind of keeps going on, yeah. And I was like, you know what, dog dick tired. I woke up at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I saw a bunch of guys from PG&E setting poles with track buckets and track digger derricks and all that stuff, and guys climbing poles and leaning out and everything like that. And I was like, damn. I was like, what the hell is that? I just didn't know what the hell it was. And I look up and I'm like, that looks fucking cool. I was like, that is awesome. I'm, getting ready to go and walk up the mountain with a 45-pound hose pack with everything else on me, go climb this big ass ravine to go and, tie some hoses in and everything. And I was like, you know what? I need to figure something else out. You know what I mean? Like something's got to give. And I called my wife and I'm like, I don't know what this is called, but I was like, look up like, Powerline guy or something, you know what I mean? And she found some stuff online, and then I started talking to some buddies who who I ended up meeting later on, a couple months later. One of them was Ben Holmes, and I actually hit him up on Instagram because he was in charge of the 66 Instagram. And I'm like, hey, what do I got to do? And he goes, there's many different pathways and all that stuff. And ended up going to NLC because I was coming from a full-blown career, in firefighting, and the rest is history. Now I'm here in Texas doing my apprenticeship program.
So let's back this up, I guess. I wanted to get into, because we talked a little bit last week, and you mentioned about your military experience just now too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit. So that was prior to firefighting?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So I graduated in 2010, and I was kind of lost in like what I wanted to do in life and everything. Like, I guess every teenager when they graduate high school, and I've never been a school kind of guy. In high school I was great with math and all that stuff and great with history, but everything else I was like, kind of pissed off, and I kind of went for my friends. That's all it really was. And who knows what it was. I wasn't challenged enough or whatever, but school was never my thing.
People.
Yeah, exactly. And I never liked it. I did not want to go to college. I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on a degree that I was never going to use. And I was like, what am I going to do? And we have a local burrito place called Burrito Bandito, and I was rolling burritos for like a year and a half. And I was like, okay,
I got to do something different.
Yeah, I got to do something. I can't roll a chicken burrito the rest of my life. And so my one of my best friends from high school, Dylan, he's like, not doing kind of the same thing, just kind of just in limbo. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm joining the military. I hit him up and I was like, hey, you're not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. Let's go ahead and let's join the military together, kind of do the old buddy program they got going on. He goes, yeah, fuck it, dude, let's do it. And so I went down to MEPS, signed up, and we were supposed to go in together, I think, as 68 Whiskeys, which is combat medic. And they didn't have any jobs open for both of us. And so I was like, well, shit, what do we, look at each other and go, what do we do? And I was like, well, what jobs do we get? And they go, well, we got 3 jobs you can choose from. You scored great on the ASVAB, but we got 3 jobs: diesel mechanic, cook, and 11 Bravo. And I go, what's 11 Bravo? And they go, you kick in, typical salesman, kick indoors, you're American hero, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And me being dumb and naive, I'm like, hell yeah, that's what I want to do. And they got me hook, line, and sinker. Me and my buddy were like, fuck yeah, dude, all like high-fiving, signed up, and ended up going the next day to good old Fort Benning, Georgia. And then I'd spend the rest, 3.5 years in Fort Stewart, Georgia, as a light infantryman. And I did 10 months in Afghanistan, which was an eye-opener, to say the least. I tell people it's the best and worst time of my life, hands down. And it's definitely made me appreciate the little things in life, just to see the people that live there and, how they interact, and the stuff that we take for granted as, Americans, Canadians, whatever, first world problems for sure. And, kind of makes you reevaluate your life decisions and stuff like that, And so, I ended up doing that. And then I was a team leader for about a year and a half. So I was in charge of 4 grown-ass adults, telling them where to show up and how to act and all that other stuff. So that was another job all in itself. But it was some amazing times for sure.
What kind of stuff did training? How does the training relate to what you're doing now, or what you did in the fire service, or what you're doing now?
See.
Is there some similarities, or is it like completely different?
Oh no, like linking it to like line work and all that stuff. I mean, line work's not, it's a very physically demanding job. You know what I mean? And like same thing with like the firefighting and military and everything like that. I mean, especially my job, I was a light infantryman. Especially I was a heavy gunner. So I shot the 240 Bravo, which is a 24-pound gun, just bare, and then
they give those to bigger guys, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I show up to the unit, and my squad leader looks at me and he goes, "Oh, you're a big fucker, aren't you?"
Here's the pig.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I joined, I was like 220 pounds. I was a big dude. Always been a big dude, but he goes, "Oh yeah, you're solid. Here, you get this."
Yeah.
And I was like, son of a bitch, And he just said it's going to build character. That's all he said, and walks away. And I was like, son of a bitch.
And did it?
Oh, without a doubt, man. I mean, honestly, tell me, carrying all that stuff, a rucksack that's 110 pounds, and then, a plate carrier that's, 45 pounds, and then me who's 200, every bit at 20 pounds, it's like, shoot, you start to walk and walk and walk. You're doing a 12-mile ruck march, and it's like you start to, block out, the doubt and all this other stuff, and you start to realize, like, damn, I could push my body to some fucking limits, like I can push it farther than I've ever considered going. And that's the same thing it was in firefighting. I mean, we'd be walking up hills that you're like, oh yeah, it crest and all that stuff, I'm gonna get a little break, and then you go, oh shit, there's another hill, and you just keep going. You just got to keep driving. It's the same, and it's carried over to line work, hands down. When you're like South Texas, I mean, it's hot, humid, you're sweating and all that stuff, and you just got to keep pushing. You got to get the job done.
Mental toughness to sum that up. Hey, like I actually find that that's a problem with, I want to say young people, but I don't think it's young people. I think it's probably just young people in general, no matter what the age group or genre or whatever they came from. It's not just a millennial thing or something like that. It's building resiliency and mental toughness. Sounds like the military really pounded that into your.
Oh yeah. Oh, without a doubt. I mean, from day one, they pounded into you, I mean, I think going in, I was 20 years old. I was a young man, you know what I mean? And I think as soon as I got done with the military, I mean, my mom for sure has seen me mature and, so many different ways and everything because of the military. And I mean, I owe everything to what they taught me and my work ethic. I mean, it was good before, I've always worked jobs fit from, I think it was like 14 and a half or 15 and a half, or whatever it was. I always had some type of job, either it was mowing lawns or something. And I always thought I had a decent work ethic. And then I got in the military, and it was like, you're in charge of 4 guys, make it work. You gotta get all this stuff done. And my work ethic, I mean, is so good now. I mean, it's thankfully for the military. And
no worries. So work ethic, mental toughness, all good things for getting into the line trade. And the other one I was just thinking of, so you mentioned you're overseas, you're squad leader or whatever you called it. Like you're all of a sudden in charge of other grown ass men.
Yeah.
And you're in circumstances that are no doubt like life and death, whether they were at that time or could be. Like that teaches you something that I don't think a lot of guys really get at 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 years old. And I don't think there's enough military personnel coming into our profession. I think they bring an immense amount of like leadership ability and qualities. Like maybe you got to trim the harshness off, maybe the military can bring, and soften it a little.
Yeah.
But like just that ability to lead people and lead men is a quality that I think is missing in our trade. I find that a lot of people don't want to be in leadership in line work. They just want to be a lineman. And there's a lot of reasons around that, a lot of reasons for that. And I think that management, companies, union, they could all do a better job at trying to produce better leaders within our trade. And I know one thing is definitely like, there should be like a reward for being a leader. And the reward is like the extra pay is definitely not worth it. Where I'm from anyway, it's like a $1 or $2 an hour difference between you and the lineman, which is just bullshit. Like there needs to be some incentives to be that guy. And even now, finding a lot of the times companies are continually under the gun, and they take back things like the perks, like take back the pickup trucks for the subbies and make them ride in other trucks and things like that. Like it's a real battle. It's a battle everywhere. And it's wrong. Like you're not adding value. You're adding a problem to it. That's something I noticed, but I think that the military could add a lot of leadership to this trade.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see more military personnel enter this trade, and then love to see what that progresses to, what the trade looks like later, further down the road because of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see that too. I mean, the caliber of people that when they first go into the military, I mean, you're like, holy crap. Like some of these people, I mean, I remember basic training. I mean, there are some people who are like, I don't think this dude's going to make it. And then like what they end up learning and how they, can see themselves in the future and all this other stuff. I mean, they're different people. They're not, I wouldn't say hard headed, but they're like, we got to get this task done. We got to work, teamwork into this. We got to, you know what I mean? Like you learn that stuff while you're in the military and everything. And I'd love to see more, more like helmets to hard hats programs. Like for a lot of, like 66 just got a helmets to hard hat program. I know Local 47 has one out in California. I mean, I'd love to see more locals and, more companies kind of go to that more mindset, I mean, we need good people in this trade, hands down. You know what I mean? You get guys who are like really young. They need, I guess more their age type, I mean, I'm 28 years old, I'm still a young man, but I mean, to have guys like me, I mean, there's guys coming to this trade are 19, 20 years old. I can, I'm still young enough to where I can kind of somewhat relate to them, and kind of give them, someone to talk to, and I guess someone to kind of lead them. I know I'm just an apprentice, but I mean, I'd love to help out, anyone who gets in this trade, no matter what their age is. But I feel like a lot of younger guys, they're kind of going into this, either they're like forced into it by their parents or something, or who are just trying to find their way in life and everything. And I mean, having more military guys to kind of lead them in the right path and kind of take them under their wing, to say the least, is something definitely we need.
I think it's a really great thing. I think you should do that because you 100% you have life experiences that they don't have, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you hadn't gone into the military and spent another 2 years rolling chicken tacos, chicken burritos, and then found the trade, and like that's a lot of these guys' story. They fuck around for the first 2-3 years out of school, not knowing what to do, randomly look up on a hillside and see a lineman up there and Google search it, and boom, they're in it now. But they're no further ahead. They have zero life experiences like you have in the military.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there's days where, I mean, you do field training missions and stuff, and I mean, where you're sleeping on the ground, you have fire ants climbing all over you, and you're sleeping in your boots that you've been in for, 4 days. You know what I mean? Like your feet are, feel like jelly and all this other stuff. I mean, that builds character. I mean, that definitely builds character, and like you can take those from those experiences, and you could help out other people. So I think, I mean, there's so many things that a lot of military
picture
members.
Picture those times in Powerline work where, like you said, like you're working in Texas, it's hot as balls. You're already worked 10 hours and somebody comes to you and say, hey, we still got to go over here and do this, and it's going to take another couple of hours. And so many guys start to complain right away, or they get owly as fuck, and they just don't have that mental toughness built up. That's definitely something that you could work on.
Oh yeah. I mean, without it, I mean, I'm still working on it to this day. You know what I mean? Like I think it's something that you can always, kind of shape and mold, and, that grit, that a lot of, I see a lot of older linemen have that, I mean, there's guys who are still in this trade who are, 70 years old. I mean, that's like the saltiest, grittiest, know what I mean, linemen that they have, have out there. A lot of those guys are Vietnam vets, I mean, some of them are some bad motherfuckers, excuse my language, but I'm like, there's some bad dudes. I mean, they're still climbing, like that's insane, and so they're still, hopping on the digger and, moving pole butts, and, what I mean, like, it's crazy. And I mean, that's that grit that they've kind of honed and kind of shaped throughout their whole entire life, and I mean, it's something that, guys have to, understand, like, you got to find it, and you got to, it sucks, but suck it up and get it knocked out.
So tell us a bit about Afghanistan and some experiences over there, as much as you feel like sharing.
Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah. let's see, I was there for 10 months. When I first got there, I'm not going to lie to you, I was scared shitless. When they told us, they're like, hey, sorry to burst you guys' bubble, but, they told us before Christmas, so that's always nice. They go, hey, February, we're leaving for Afghanistan, and this is where we're going, and, have a fun time with your family, because it might be the last time. I mean, straight up, that's exactly what they tell you. So instantly, me being a 20-year-old private, I'm like, oh crap, what did I get myself into, and stupid me, I started Googling like where we were at and everything like that, and I was like, oh my God, this is not the nicest place in the world, watching videos on YouTube and all that stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is sketchy, and I tried to not tell my mom and my sisters and my dad like exactly where I was going, I mean, not just because of OPSEC, kind of telling non-military people where you're going, it's security breach and all that stuff, but just to like as a peace of mind, I mean, that's all I thought about the entire time over there. It's like, if I don't make it back, I mean, they're gonna be absolutely devastated. You know what I mean? Like, I have 2 younger sisters, and my mom and dad are my life. You know what I mean? So it was scary going over there, and I think I was more terrified of what could happen to me, how they would react. And so I was there for 10 months, and I got to experience, like I said, some of the worst times in my life, see, squad leaders and, team leaders get shot and lose limbs. And just to experience some of that, you're just like, you think it's like a movie, you know what I mean? Like, you're like, holy crap. Like you're just like, wow, I didn't know that could happen. You know what I mean? It's like, you see Saving Private Ryan and all this other stuff, all these Hollywood movies, you're like, holy shit, like, I'm living this. And then you kind of get jaded to it, and you kind of just realize you're like, wow, my life could go at any time. I was a gunner. I was a 50 cal gunner. I was in the open turret too. And, I was in the open turret, and, IEDs are always present, and you're like, shit, if we go over a culvert, I mean, I could lose my life right now, not just me, but like, 4 other people. And you kind of just like, well, if it happens, it happens. I'm no control over it. And it sounds really morbid to say that, but it's like, could happen.
Gosh.
And it makes you appreciate life too. At the same time, you get back from doing a 36-hour mission straight, 48 hours, whatever it is, and you're dog dick tired, and you're like, wow, I'm like thankful that I'm going back to our little company operating post, and I'm able to sleep in my military issued sleeping bag, take off these nasty ass socks and underwear, take a shower, and be able to call my mom or my sisters, whoever it was, and go, hey, I'm good. I can't tell you what's going on, but I'm safe, and I love you guys. I mean, I think it built a stronger bond towards them, and I think it made me a better person to kind of experience that, just to see how like these young kids who are teenagers, and like that's all they know is just is war. And, to put it lightly, I mean, they see people losing their lives daily, and that's normal to them, and I'm like, wow, me growing up in Redding, California, where like you're like walking around, you're like, oh, there's a cow, you know what I mean? Like, what I mean? Like, oh, I'm gonna go ride my bike down to the Sonic, you know what I mean? And like go get a slushie. I mean, those kids, I mean, it makes you appreciate little things like that. Like, we go and give out like packets of beef jerky and like mechanical pencils and like little stuff like that, and you're like, wow, these people like they're getting excited over a mechanical pencil, and like I'm getting I was getting mad like back in the States because they didn't give me ice in my drink, you know what I mean, like stuff like that. And it makes you appreciate, you're like, holy shit, like
your Starbucks order wasn't correct.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm getting mad over like the dumbest stuff, and it makes me kind of sit back and realize, after the deployment, I told my mom, I'm like, wow, I feel like a piece of crap. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, these people like live in mud huts, with curtains over their door, and like surviving these crazy ass elements, and they're getting excited over mechanical pencil. And I'm like, wow, it made me appreciate so much of what I've been given in my life, and, I wasn't spoiled as a kid or anything like that, but I mean, just to be able to experience a Christmas and get presents, and you know what I mean? Like, it makes you think like there could be so much worse in life. It could be so much worse in life. And then, you know, kind of from there on, like my outlook on life changed completely. You know, I've always found the silver lining in everything. You know, no matter how bad the situation has gotten, I've always been positive towards every single thing, you know, and that's how
You
I've
feel
lived my life.
like that has changed you, and that's something you've brought back with you and you carry on since
Oh,
that
hands
time.
down, hands down. Yeah. I think seeing, you know, friends of mine, you know, getting shot and, you know, losing limbs and, you know, their life being altered, you know, turning 180, you know what I mean? Changed completely. I mean, seeing that, and I'm like, okay, I come back safe and sound. Like, I can't be living negatively, you know, like I obviously have like my bad days like everyone else,
Sure,
but it's
sure.
like, that's changed my whole
Yep.
outlook on life. Just experiencing that short 10 months. I mean, it's changed the way I look, you look at life and, you know, different opportunities in my life and everything. So
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. When you came back stateside, you're out of the military, and that's when you decided to go firefighting.
yeah. So I, you know, when I was in Afghanistan, I was like, you know, I'm gonna go do special forces. I want to do that. And then I realized, wow, special forces, you know, you're gonna be gone away from
That's
your
a
family
commitment.
more than I'm doing now. Exactly. And I was like, holy shit, you know, like that's a commitment all in itself. That's like you're dedicating a lot of your time to the military, and you don't get to spend a whole lot of time with your family. And your family, you can ask anyone, like my family and my friends are everything to me, you know? And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to get out of the military. I want to start a family, and I'm going to go and do firefighting. I've always wanted to be a firefighter since I was 5 years old, you know? And so like, let's go and pursue that. And yeah, found a fire academy, signed up, used my GI Bill, you know, busted my butt, you know, getting all those prerequisites and everything, and did I think it was a 21-week course, and, you know, started doing that whole thing, and then started doing firefighting, running fires from Oregon to I was like down to LA and all that stuff, you know.
Cool.
So,
When you chose NLC,
mhm.
that's Northwest Lyman College. Why did you choose to go to a college versus pick the union route, say?
Yeah. So, so I had a buddy of mine, Zane Zanaroli. He worked in the same battalion as me, and I knew I wanted to change a career and everything like that. And he goes, hey, I'm going to be going to NLC in the fall, because fire season, doesn't happen when it's snowing and raining, so he's like, I'm going to go in November, and I'll let you know how it is and everything. I'm like, okay, cool. And as soon as he gets there, he's like, yeah, you need to come here, dude. Like, he's like, you're going to do awesome here. It's, eons above a lot of other, little weak courses and stuff like that you can do for, line work and everything. And so it was close to home. It was only like an hour and 30 minutes, I think, away from home. And I was like, you know what? It's going to be a good transition. You know what I mean? Like, and I was really nervous about doing it because I put so many eggs in the firefighting basket and everything. And I mean, you can ask my wife. I was nervous, and I was like, you know what? NLC, I can get it paid by the military, which is awesome. It's not that expensive, I don't think. And I was like making a huge career change, and I was very nervous. And I was like, you know what? If all else fails, I can go and, learn something new and see if I like it. And if not, I mean, I can always go back to fighting fires and stuff. And first day I was there, I mean, they put a knot on the table, and they go, hey, whoever can kind of do this, you're gonna do all right. And I looked at it. It was I think it was a bone on a bite. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh shoot. And I kind of looked at it, and I was like, I kind of like this. And then you see like all these guys, telling stories and stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of liking this. And then the first day of climbing, I looked like an absolute idiot, but I racked my nuts probably 4 times gapping out. But I mean, making the transition from another career into doing that, and having the staff of NLC kind of help me. I mean, I was one of the older guys there and everything, and kind of helped me make that transition super smoothly. I mean, I think it was the right decision to go there. I mean, I think I'm a very competent climber now, or confident, I guess the right word is. I guess both of them, but
Both, yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I was nervous at first, like climbing poles. And I mean, now, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm scared of heights. I am, or I was.
Well, good for
And
you.
like climbing those extension ladders and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
that was like 15 feet. I mean, you know, and I was getting shaky, like now I can climb to, you know, top of, you know, anything. And I'm like, wow, this ain't too bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, that they gave me the building blocks for that. And especially like learning how to operate a truck and how to, you know, tie a bunch of knots and how to, you know, learn just like the kind of the basics, you know, it builds a good foundation, or for me, it built a good foundation, you know, to kind of change careers. And, I mean, I owe him a bunch for that. I mean, that was awesome. And,
It's good. I wanted to hammer down on this, 'cause like I talked to you before, this has got to be the single largest question I
mm-hmm.
get asked. And I think a lot of the linemen on social media get hammered with this question from people that just reach out. I'm thinking about going to NLC or any of the other various ones that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's a good idea? It's expensive. Do you think? And I just say, like, I try to say to them, I try not to tell them directly, like, cause I don't know them. I don't know who you, I say, I don't know who you are. It's good for some people and maybe not good for others. I said, but don't let that stop you. Don't let one person saying, no fucking way, you should just go the union road. You'll learn everything you need to know. I think that that's kind of like an old school mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's coming from line workers, that the linemen in particular, that never did it or never even had that available to them, because, or don't even know what exists at these colleges and these schools. Because there's lots of great things there. There's lots of great things there. There's lots of great aspects there. What's wrong with paying $20,000? I don't even know if that's what it is, but what's wrong with $20,000 to go to school to set you up with the foundational skills to get a career that's going to pay you $200,000 a year for the rest of your life? Like, big friggin' deal. A lot of people go to school, college and university, and blow a lot more cash than that on a bullshit fucking career, a bullshit piece of paper that doesn't pay them anything. If anything, they're in the whole $400,000 when they get out of it, and they have nothing to show, no career, not even a chance in hell at a $50,000 a year job. Never mind, you know what you got the ability to do. So, like I say, just go for it. Just give it a give it a chance. You're going to get out of it what you put into it yourself too. You can't you can't just expect them to do everything for you. That's, whether that's career or life, whatever you're doing, you got to put in the work, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And they have like different stages, you know, like you have your first stage, second stage. I might be messing that up, or I think it's phases, but I mean, for you to graduate, you need to pass each phase, and it just gets slowly harder and harder as it goes on. You know, you have to, you know, climb and do all this other stuff under time, and, you know, make sure, you know, and they're sticklers. I mean, if your climbing is shit, they're going to tell you, and you're going to be doing up downs. If you swear in front of them, you're doing an up down. I mean, it's kind of like a, you know what I mean? And trust me, I was doing up downs a lot.
Yeah.
I have a
straight out of Afghanistan. Fuck. Oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, doing up down Scrabo, like, oh great. And so, but yeah, I mean, it's a good introduction to line work. I mean, I learned all these different, you know, bolts and, you know, different types of hardware that I would have never seen in my life. It gets you a good introduction to transformers, gets you a good introduction to, you know, electrotheory, you know, about, you know, AC and DC, you know, all these different things, and like how to interview. Like, I mean, I'm a very personal guy. I mean, I could pretty much get along with damn near anyone, you know, and talk about, you know, who knows what. And like, I was like, oh man, I'm a pretty good interviewer. And then come to find out I'm absolute shit, but I can talk my way into some stuff, you know? And so, and like, I know how to write a resume. They teach you how to do that. And like, they have a job portal that, I applied to a lot of places when I first got out. You know, I was hungry. I was hungry to get a job, you know? And so they have a job portal where they strictly look for people who have NLC, you know, climbing school background. Like I mean, these companies, they're thriving off of, you know, just NLC graduates and stuff, you know, I mean, it might be like telecommunications or what have you, you know what I mean? But they're looking for people who have that now. I mean, I see a lot of guys who are coming in now, like all of them have climbing school, you know what I mean? I mean, that's what employers are going to start looking for. I'm sure of it. You know what I mean?
Well, if a guy, it's good you mentioned that, because this is something that a lineman doesn't necessarily realize unless he's been a business owner himself or themselves. And it's not something necessarily that you're going to realize, but if you switch your perspective and you look at it from the perspective of a business owner, man, it makes 150%. Like, why wouldn't you want to hire somebody that's been trained to some sort of level, some sort of standard that you can be shown that's provable? Like, they've gone to a school, there's a criteria that they've been assessed at, and here's their assessment. And so you know exactly what you're getting for a worker. And that's a lot of training. For one, that's a lot of training that you as a business owner don't have to put up the income that you probably won't have yourself, because it's a very competitive market. That's training that you don't have to invest in for that guy who's already trained. And liability, man. Liability is everything, especially in the US where you can be sued for the littlest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, liability is everything. So that's making a little bit safer of a person, a little bit safer of a worker, and a little less liability.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
It makes sense. 150%.
Oh, yeah. Definitely does.
So when you come out of that, you came out, you graduated, obviously. You come out of that. Did you have a hard time finding work, or was that an easier process? Like you said, you applied to a million places. Was it fairly easy to pick up a job, or how did that look?
Well, let's see. So I recommend people who do go in there, get your CDL first, because, I was working, I was fighting fires because
that's question number 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, what do I need? What do I need? Get a CDL. Just go and do it. Period.
Just get it done. It is I wouldn't say the easiest thing, but I mean, just get it done. It is the easiest way to get a job. I mean, in line work, I think now, I mean, that's the number one application question they ask. You have a CDL. And I mean, that right there, I mean, if you don't have climbing school, it'll help you a whole lot better, if you have that.
And don't be scared of it. Just line it up and do it. Like, tick that off. Like, this is the thing too. People get too, especially when you're a younger person, you get too excited about just getting in, and I want to get it. I want to crush it. I want to be that guy up on the pole, on the ladder, doing that thing. Start with the basics. Make that step 1. Just write it down right now. CDL.
Yeah.
Hammer it off. Do it. You can forget about it after that. It's crushed. It's done.
Yeah.
Do it. Life is long.
Exactly. And I was trying to do, get my CDL. I was trying to, work fire, because I went in the fall, obviously, and they hit me with you can go to this school, but you have to work until the end of December. And I was like, oh crap, because that was in 2018, and that was a busy year for firefighting. So I was going to the fire station, and then I was, taking off vacation, kind of moving around days and stuff like that, like working weekends pretty much at the firehouse, and then going to school. So I recommend getting your CDL done and then go to school. But so I got all that done. I graduated, I got a couple awards, which was kind of cool, because I just, how I am, I pump people up and always have that positive attitude, like I was saying, and everything. And so that was super neat. And then, they pretty much said, they're like, pump out as many job applications and send out resumes to every single person. Even if it's like tree trimming, you know what I mean? Like, just try and get your foot in the door. That's all you got to do. And you got to pretty much show people like you want to do this, and like, I realized, like, I might have to move, like California is one of those places, especially if you want to go union. Well, I mean, it's a union state. So, if you want to go union, you might have to be a groundman for a couple years, you might have to kind of, suck it up and be a hole digger for, 2 years until you can get on with CalNev or whatever. And, I kind of I sent out applications to co-ops in Nebraska. I've never been to Nebraska, but, I put out to Nebraska, Texas, Washington. I mean, you name it. I sent out probably 125 applications, and, kind of sucks, but only a handful of them got back to me and union and not non-union. And, while I was going through this whole entire thing, you know, like I said, I talked to Ben Holmes in 66, and that's where I am now. And, you know, if it wasn't for his guidance, you know, I mean, I don't think I would have been able to find, you know, this union job. You know, I think I was just a little unprepared and a little under, what is it? I guess I just didn't know what the route to take. And I was just kind of just shooting my shot, you know, and so talked to him, and I ended up meeting him on career day, and he goes, "You put in your application, right?" And I go, "Yeah, how do I do it?" And he told me and put it in there, and, you know, here I am in local 66. So, you know, working my butt off, you know, so.
See, that's exactly what he did too. Like I don't know if you listened to the podcast I did with him.
Yeah.
It was only a couple episodes ago. For anyone else that's listening, go listen to the Ben Holmes episode. That his story just quickly, amazing human being, amazing story. That episode is absolutely crushing it. But he did what it took. Like he was at the rodeo, and he traveled literally cross country in a weekend to show up to a local, to go to work, just to get to work, just to get the job and get his foot in the door. Same as you, right? So this is what it might take. It might take leaving those concert tickets that you had to go show up to set up your life. And that's what you got to remember. Like, you're setting up a life by doing this.
Exactly.
And the other thing you said you were putting in applications like crazy. And you met Ben on Instagram, and this is something that I know, like, your generation below you, like they're getting it. A lot of the older generations don't understand, which they should as well, that how powerful a tool social media is, and DMing people is.
Oh yeah.
DM 1,000 freaking people. Ask them questions. Ask them how to get in. You don't know who's connected to what. You don't know who all of a sudden might have an opening. So I did this for 3 years straight. When I moved from line work into management, I was the resource manager with the company, and I handled all the, even though we're a union company, it worked a little differently in up in Canada, because we don't have the numbers that you guys do in the States. So we still do a lot of like that HR work, and that, like, the resourcing, like trying to find guys from across country to come work for you, because they're few and far between at the time. So even though we're union, handled a lot of the interaction between the linemen, did all the hiring, the firing, all that kind of stuff. And networking is such a big deal. Like,
Huge.
use every aspect use everything that's available. I hired people through Instagram. I hired people through Facebook. I hired people through LinkedIn. I was on there steady. And a lot of these old crusty HR managers, and they don't understand this shit. They're still using freaking Indeed, you know, and they're still even taking a paper like, I think paper resumes are bullshit. I'll go up to these guys and I'm like, have you checked their Facebook page? Have you checked their Instagram page? That's the first thing I did. Like, and they're like, "Oh, you're profiling if you do that." Yeah, well, friggin' rights, I'm profiling if I do that. If I get on his Instagram page and the whole thing is one big friggin' party and it's just a bunch of bullshit, I'm gonna probably avoid that guy or girl like the plague.
Oh yeah.
Because they're just gonna be trouble. But if it's on there and it's all positive, they're doing good things, they're showing like how they look, I don't know. Use the tools available. Social media is a very powerful tool, and DM 1,000 people. You have the ability to get into anybody's DM these days. Like you said, you met Ben Holmes, you reached out over Instagram, and it's, you know, kind of changed your life.
Oh yeah, hands down. I mean, I think it's your network. Like you said, you're networking yourself. You know, get your name out there, and, you know, I didn't realize how small, you know, the line family, I guess, the tribe, how small it is. It is freaking small. I mean, there's so many people that, like, I've met out here, like, "Oh yeah, I know this guy. I know this guy here." And it's like, it's weird. And when people talk, you know, and, you know, you got to network yourself. You know, you got to sell yourself to get this job. And, like, I want to touch up on, like, how, you know, a lot of guys, I think they fail to realize that if you want to get an apprenticeship, you need to possibly travel. You need to, you know, leave your home in Redding, California, take your wife, your dog, and her cat to Texas, you need to do it. You need to sacrifice a little to gain so much. I mean, name another career where you can be making six figures in less than 3 years. I mean, honestly, it's insane. Like who would throw that away? You know what I mean? Like, that's insane.
Be persistent, but don't be ignorant about it. That's what I always try to tell people. They're like, well, how often can I call back, or how often can I email you? I said, just go with your gut. I don't want to hear from you every day. If I hear from you every day, I'm probably going to block you. But be persistent, because I don't know how many times, like, it could just be those random days. You don't know you don't know what's going on. Like, I had a couple, well, more than a couple times where literally, you'd get a handful of applications from just ground level workers or whatever, guys wanting pre-apprentices, wanting to get into the trade. I get those calls or emails or DMs or whatever. And I remember one time, like, literally one of the foremen came into my office and he's like, hey, I need a pre-apprentice, needs to have a class 1 driver's license, which is just your CDL, commercial driver's license to tow trailers. Needs some operating experience, needs this and that, and labeled a few first aid ticket, labeled a few labels. And I'm like, okay, I'll see what I got. And I was just about to dive into some messages, and the phone rings, and it's a guy looking. I'm like, okay, well, do you have CDL? Yep. Do you have first aid ticket? Yep. Are you willing to travel? I'll do anything. Okay, you got her, done. It was literally like that. 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always happen, but that happened over the course of 3 years. That happened half a dozen times or more. And you don't know if that's going to be you. So just be persistent, keep trying, because it'll work out for you. But you got to try. Even if it's a million friggin' times, you try, and be willing to go, willing to travel.
Yeah. Always.
So you're local 66 now. How far through your apprenticeship?
So I actually just got my third step. So I guess I'm a little under halfway there. Just been kind of killing it and all that stuff. At least I think I'm killing it. So,
what are you liking and not liking about the trade so far, from what you've got for experience? What's your pros and cons? Like, what are you like digging and what are you not digging?
So it's weird. Like here in Texas, for like 66 is, I guess, like, area. It's weird. There's so many refineries and stuff like that. I work, I'm super blessed to even get in this apprenticeship program. I'm so honored to be able to even have a shot, at it. But it's weird. There's so many refineries and stuff like that. So you have some companies that work in the refineries, and so, they need apprentices. They have journeyman linemen. There's poles there to be changed out, and major underground and everything to be spliced and all that stuff. And so the one kind of I had a outlook like, I'm gonna go to Texas. I'm gonna go and be doing climbing poles, changing out poles, doing all that stuff. And then I got here and I'm like, man, like, I did not expect to go on a substation crew, or going in the refineries where I have to shave every day, and that kind of stuff. And it sounds kind of lame and all that stuff, but like, I didn't expect that. And so it kind of put a little, dampened my sales a little bit. And I'm like, you know what, like, this kind of sucks. But then I kind of looked at it, I'm like, let's still, because it's a silver lining here. What can I take from this job? And like, I'm going to be transferred out here pretty soon, but what can I take from this job and take it to, either transmission or distribution? What can I take from that? And, just looking at the positive side of it, and like, yeah, it sucks that you have to shave every day, but it's like, okay, whatever, you can grow your facial hair back. Going into these refineries and dealing with all the, bureaucratic stuff, he said, she said, and, this person thinks they're the boss and all that stuff. And, it sucks, but it's like, what can you take from these, talking with all these different people, so like getting permits, and then talking with, like, all these different plant people, and, working with people from different companies, like on these big substation jobs, the types of rigging that you've learned, all these cable pulls that you've done, like, what can you take from that and then transfer it over? And so, it took me a little while to kind of see that, and kind of bums me out that it took me that long, but I finally found the silver lining. I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm going to make the best of this situation, and I'm just going to take it to my next, you know, I guess stepping stone, you know, in my career. And so, cause there are not a whole lot of people that get to work in these refineries, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, look at a pole and it's a hodgepodge of different stuff. And it's like, you have to kind of troubleshoot that, you know, with, you know, your foreman, and sometimes, you know, JY, and it's just you three, and you're like, well, how are we going to get this done? You know?
Yep.
And so I can take that, you know, troubleshooting, that critical thinking over to, you know, my next
and even
step.
think, even I know we talked about this a little bit, but even think macro on that. So think long term on that as well. I had similar experience where first 2 years of my apprenticeship was transmission work and transmission construction and that sort of thing. Super fun work to do. Big wire, stringing, poles, like in the bush. Boom, down to, I think we built 6 substations, 60 kV and 138 kV substations for sawmills and fiber plants and things like that. And so it was a whole year and a bit of substation work, and then substation maintenance. We get a lot of maintenance work in mills and mines, and then shutdowns. They'd have shutdown after shutdown where you just go in and polish insulators and, you know, polish connections and make sure switch gear's working. But that's where I learned circuitry, and I learned all the bits and pieces of a circuit that makes sense, because you see everything in a substation. You see everything in those tight quarters. You see everything from CTs, PTs, breakers, like relay, everything is there. Transformers. You see how it all works. It's all in a tight space. And like you said, you get into a situation where it's just you and a couple other guys a little later on in your career, and you got to troubleshoot something, and you're at a mill or a mine or a refinery or some private organization that maybe hasn't maintained their power system like the local utility has, and they got some shit going on. But when they have a down, like for a refinery to be down is a big deal. Like they're losing millions of dollars. I know that we had copper and gold mines, and we had plywood plants and sawmills, and for them to be down for even 5 minutes, man, that's hitting production. And it's like you've got every level of senior leadership standing there watching you, waiting for you to turn that power back on, because that's their lifeline. And all of that, what I didn't realize then is all of that learning set me up to be a better operator at that time. And it's something I wasn't thinking of either. Who can think of that unless you're really told, and you like think about that. But that's my encouragement to any of you young guys out there, getting into this and feeling like you're stuck in, you know, I'm not getting my live line hours. Like, big fucking deal. You'll get your live hours. Stick with substations for 6 months. Stick with underground for 6 months. Whatever it is, just chill out. Life is long. Your career is long. It's going to make you a better person. Just enjoy and be present in that. Learn what you can. Like you said, take it to your next thing. Take it to your next thing. Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah. Be a sponge. I mean, be an absolute sponge. I mean, you have all, I mean, at my company, you have like all different walks of life. I mean, and, you know, take it from, you know, the bad, take it from the good, you know, kind of filter through that and just be a sponge. And like, you can kind of start building yourself now, you know what I mean? Like as a young apprentice, you know, I absorb everything that I see, you know what I mean? Like from the good guys and from the bad, you know, I just absorb it all. And that's what, like, I want a lot of, you know, guys in my class and, you know, other apprentices to kind of see is like, just take it all in, you know, like you have to be a well-rounded journeyman eventually, you know what I mean? So like, why not start now? You know, I have like notebooks where I like take little notes and stuff like that. And it sounds kind of lame, but it's like, you know, like I've saw a different method to like pull in, you know, big old 80 foot, you know, dead end towers, you know, big old steel, like how to rig these. And so I wrote a little note to myself, like, okay, you can do it like this, or like how to demo a pole super fast, you know, like, you know, take little notes and stuff like that. Like you want to be the most well-rounded journeyman once you get out. Right. So it's like, you know, in my situation, that's it. Like, I know how to, build substations and, switches and all that stuff, and know how to do like big old cable pulls with like different types of rigging and stuff. And so it's like,
well, you know that firsthand from military experience as well. Like, you know what that is, right? That's an after action report.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's get home at the end of the day and write yourself a little after action report, those main key points that you want to remember and you want to hone in on and work on for your career. You're 100% right. I'd say that's a good tip.
Yeah. And another thing I was just thinking about is like, I think another thing is like, don't be afraid to fail. I think it took me a while, especially starting out when I was a pre-apprentice and then finally got indentured in the union. I was so nervous to fail. I was like so scared to where I was messing up. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen them do it multiple times and I was just, messing up and then start getting yelled at and, all that happens. But it's like, I kind of thought to myself, like, I'm going to fuck up. I mean, I'm an apprentice. I'm new to this. I'm going to fuck up, learn from it, and just get better. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to fail, learn from it, and just, just succeed off of your failures, and like, I think a lot of apprentices do that. They dwell on their failures and then they're just, they're setting themselves back, and it kind of sucks like that.
Your apprenticeship is actually the time that, like, take the opportunity to fail during an apprenticeship. That's when you get the most lenience in failing as well. Like, you might get harped on, you might get rode hard by your superiors, but really, like, that's when you can go, I don't know, I'm an apprentice. Like, what do you expect? Because once you're a journeyman, it's a little harder. You should still accept failure yourself, but it's a little harder to swallow because you're looked upon differently now.
Yeah. And don't get butthurt when like guys are yelling at you. Like, like, that's like the biggest thing is like, I see a lot of younger guys, like, they just like get yelled at once and they're just like super mopey the whole rest of the day. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, come on, dude. They're just, they're trying to, there's certain ways, to like train people, like when I was a team leader, like there's different ways to kind of interact with people, like different people learn different ways, like some people you got to get on their ass to, put a little fire under their butt to get them to do stuff. And there's other people you have to be super supportive, and it's like, I get that, but there's like some days like, just don't take it too hard. I mean, this is line work, I mean, it's not going to Chuck E. Cheese, you gotta, yeah, exactly. So
the same people that, I hate to label, but the boomers complain about the millennials, but they're the ones that raised them. So it's a direct reflection of 8th place fucking trophies and, coddling people. Like, that's not, there's wins and there's losses in life.
Yep.
You have winners and you have losers.
Exactly.
Just accept that. If you can accept that and you can train your kids to accept that, you're going to make a better human being, because that's fact. In real life, there's no 8th place trophies.
Yeah, no, there isn't. It's either you're either a winner or a loser, and it's like, I mean, I like being a winner. I'm gonna try I'm gonna break every bone in my body to try and be a winner. You know what I mean? And that's
like you said, you should just enjoy being a loser as well, because learn from it. Figure out where your weaknesses are. Write a little after action report, and do the work. Get better.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes it sucks, but you gotta suck it up and get it knocked out. That's what you gotta do. Maybe that's my military talking to me. It's like, you crash super hard and like doing like land nav or something.
Yeah.
They go, okay, stand up. Take some ibuprofen, drink some water. You're good. Just keep going. Maybe that's it, but who knows.
Sweet, buddy. So I've had you for like well over an hour now. I don't have the clock running right now, but I know. Is there anything else that you had in your heart, mind to share, talk about that we probably didn't cover? Or
I really don't know. I mean, I know, this platform has definitely changed a lot of people's lives, and so I give you hope to give you the best of luck and everything. I mean, you're doing an awesome thing and everything for not just line workers. I mean, you have all these different walks of life coming on here, telling their stories and everything. And everyone can relate to something someone has to say, and, for a lot of people, hopefully they kind of hear my story and they're like, wow, I can kind of keep going on and, hearing other people's stories and kind of do the same. So I give you, all the best of luck and everything. And I appreciate you having me on and say my little story. It's nothing too crazy, but I thank you for having me on here, man.
No, I really appreciate you saying that, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. Everyone's got a story, and that's the reason for this show, is to share people's stories. And it's the reason I wanted to do this, was to share the stories of the men and women in this trade, because it's a super cool trade, and we've met some really cool people and done some really cool shit, and made some good money in the process. And these stories need to be shared. So
exactly.
Thanks for coming on. I think you're going to affect a lot of people too, because like I did say earlier, some of the bigger questions I get are questions that we kind of dove into here,
so. Yeah.
And experiences that you've had. And I was looking for the right person to come on here and share their experiences and their stories with those things. So I hope this helps people that have these questions. They listen to this episode and go, okay, well, that gives me some confidence in going to this school, or knowing kind of what to do next, or, some confidence in switching a career, because a lot of them, same as you, right? Like they were doing something different. You were firefighting. Some of these guys are doing something different. They're hesitant on whether to go into the trade or not. They're like, I don't know. I'm kind of hitting this age. I'm late 20s. I'm unsure whether to jump out of something I've already spent, half a decade pouring myself into something different. And that's life, man. Pivot, give it a shot. Something amazing.
Yeah, and I'm more than willing. Yeah, I'm more than willing to help anyone out. I mean,
cool.
They can hit me up on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, what's your handle there on IG?
So my Instagram is kind of lame, but it's I get curls. I'm a big duck hunter. I love to shoot waterfowl. So it's lame, but it's I get curls. And hit me up. I mean, I'm willing to help anyone at any time. I just give me a message and I'll help as much as I can. That's what this whole tribe's about, right? Is help out brothers and sisters in this trade and build us strong. So
yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, bud.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Kill it, man. Later.